What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where we take movies from our past, break them down, and tell you what we think about it. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button at the top, comment below on all these good videos, find out what I'm doing next for Movie Emporium. So, we're continuing our journey to Dark Phoenix, the unfortunate conclusion to this whole entire saga of X-Men films before Disney bought the franchise. But we're going to get into what I consider one of the best movies in the X-Men franchise, and that, of course, is I don't know how to put this. It's like the X-Men reboot or it's like a continuation, but it's a complete remodel of what the X-Men franchise is. And that's with X-Men First Class. And of course, we know this was a movie that came about 6 years later. It was directed by Matthew Vaughn, written by Jane Goodman, and it takes everything back to the 60s. So instead of having Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, all these characters who played in the original X-Men movies, we finally got a new, fresh cast playing the different characters that we all know and love. And I'll tell you what, it was pretty brilliant casting. We got some characters like played by James McAvoy, who plays Xavier. We got Michael Fassbender, who plays Magneto, Eric Lenscher. Jennifer Lawrence comes in as Mystique. Or Nicholas Hoult comes in as Beast. And I'll tell you what, there's no big standout because they're all standouts. They're all amazing in this movie because they brought a new freshness to the character. They brought ideas and different ticks and different cool things about their characters. And if I could pick one character that really kind of insinuated the character itself, it would be Michael Fassbender. And unfortunately, the more the movies went along, as we got into the second and third movie, the less Michael Fassbender seemed to be interested in it. But this role that he took on, it was awesome. It was weird that they were all being recast. It was an awesome take of his character. And if you don't know what X-Men First Class is, it basically brings in the 60s, the Cuban Missile Crisis. And we got a character played by Kevin Bacon, who is playing Sebastian Shaw, who has a past with Magneto or Michael Fassbender's character, where he was a German military soldier or German experimenter in World War II, and we get a recreation of the original X-Men movie opening where we see Eric Lenscher with his family in an internment camp in Nazi occupied Europe, and we find out that of course Eric Lenscher has a magnetism thing, and he is basically taken to Sebastian Shaw's character where he has to prove that he has this magnetism or he's going to kill his mom. And of course we know how that plays out, and it causes pretty much the hatred and the anger that Eric Lenscher, Magneto, goes throughout the rest of his career as he tries to take down the whole entire empire of what the German Nazis were. And it's really fascinating to watch. It actually is more fleshed out than we ever got in the original X-Men movies, and that's why Michael Fassbender is so good as Eric Lenscher and Magneto, because he has everything going against him. He's going to do everything he can to take down Sebastian Shaw and the whole entire crew. Well, we also, on the other side, we get to see Xavier and Mystique's character at a young age, which is really fascinating because of course Charles Xavier comes from a really rich family, a really high class family, and he has been given everything. But one night he hears a disturbance in the kitchen. He goes to the kitchen and he sees what he thinks is his mom, which he finds out is actually Raven, who is going to eventually be played by Jennifer Lawrence. And then we see them go through their college days and so on and so forth. Well, everything that sets in motion in the 60s brings in Moira McTaggart, who is played by Rose Byrne. She discovers all these mutant powers. She discovers there's this group of villain mutants called the Hellfire Club, which is actually run by Sebastian Shaw. It has January Jones as Emma Frost, Alex Gonzalez as Riptide, Jason Fleming as Azrael. And they're basically a group of mutants who are there to start a war, which, if we all know the Cuban Missile Crisis very well, there was that one boat that almost crossed over that line, a threshold that could have caused a World War III. And it's really fascinating to see these characters kind of like starting that war, trying to get it, the ball rolling so that Sebastian Shaw can be the evil dictator / president of the world, basically. And, on top of that, we're getting the friendship between Eric Lenscher and Charles Xavier, the early friendships, and seeing how Eric Lenscher is always going to be the guy that's always going to try to keep the mutants safe, and Xavier's trying to always going to be that guy to, you know, help give the world knowledge of what the mutant population is. Well, they come across these other mutants by basically Nicholas Hoult, who plays Beast, or Hank McCoy, has come up with the idea of Cerebro, and they go and they find several different characters. You know, some are played by Zoe Kravitz. We got Lucas Till. We got Caleb Landry Jones, which you might remember from Get Out. And at first, they're all under the guise of the CIA. They're all under the control, and they're going to be used for their powers. Well, when Sebastian Shaw goes after, you know, to find the mutants and take them for his own, you know, everything breaks down, and they end up in Xavier's mansion, where they all get, you know, their powers honed, and they can attack Sebastian Shaw and his people to, you know, basically end this Cuban Missile Crisis, or the middle of the Cold War, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I know that's kind of like a jumblation of the movie. I know you've seen the movie, so you know what I'm talking about. But the movie is fascinating in the fact that it once again goes deeper, it goes darker. Matthew Vaughn is not afraid to go darker with these characters, and it's interesting to see how much pent up rage and anger Eric Lenscher has, and he has every right to, because of all the things he's gone through. And it's funny to see him pit against, you know, Charles Xavier, James McAvoy's character, and how well they work together, and how well they are polar opposites, but they work together to stop the problem, basically. And I just think it's a fascinating duo that is really more locked together because of these two guys and these two actors, and the fact they were able to give some more meat to the already interesting characters with Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. But the thing that's most crazy about this movie is it kind of reassembles the whole franchise. You know, you have Raven Mystique's character now in the 60s. Now she was born in the 40s, so she's way older than she was when Rebecca Romijn played her in the original franchise. Because this is almost like an alternate universe franchise. And I'll be honest with you, like Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence gives a great new spin to the character, but it lessens and lessens with each movie, which is kind of a shame. You know, Days of Future Past is fun to watch, but you can just tell that they're more committed to other things. They're more committed to more Oscar roles than they are to these high budget action movies. And but at this point, it's such a breath of fresh air with these characters that you just can't help but enjoy it. And it's the same thing with the villains. You know, Sebastian Shaw, Kevin Bacon is amazing as his character. He is a very menacing character. He is really dark and disturbing, and he does some things that are not, you know, popular among historians, if you want to put it in that route. And it's the same thing with Emma Frost, who's played by January Jones. January Jones I've known for a long time. I knew she was a great actress. She'd been in like some other films that I really enjoyed, and of course she's in Mad Men, which she's really good in. But she's good. She's an interesting villain. She is not always on. She's always finding ways to use herself to basically take down people, and she has a really cool effect where she can basically turn herself into like a crystal type of mode, where basically until Magneto or Eric Lenscher's character kind of figures out a way to stop her, she's almost indestructible, because she also has telekinetic powers, and she can also use people and so on and so forth. And she has a lot of depth to her character, which is a lot of fun to watch. But, you know, outside of that, the other two characters are really cool in their moments. You know, the character who's playing Azrael is very similar to Nightcrawler, and there's hints and rumors that he could be the father of Nightcrawler, but that's never really explained. And of course, the military is the military. They're going to find ways to do their thing in their modes and so on and so forth. And I like Oliver Platt. I think it's cool he's in here for the short amount of time until he gets dropped from the sky. So you know how that played out. But yeah, like I said, this is a movie that was interesting when it was being released, because Matthew Vaughn was an interesting director to take care of this movie, because he's known for his rated R content. You know, what would he do with the franchise? You know, apparently he had been in line to do, I think, X-Men The Last Stand or X2 or somewhere around there. I can't remember which, but it was fascinating to see him and Jane Goodman come in, because Jane Goodman's a fantastic writer. She has been working with Matthew Vaughn forever now, and she's done everything like Kingsman and, you know, so on and so forth with everything Matthew Vaughn has done, Kick-Ass and so on and so forth. And it's just really fun to see them just kind of go and push this franchise forward into a new territory. It would have been really cool to be kind of a fly on the wall during the pitch meetings for this movie, because after X-Men The Last Stand came out, and it was such a critical failure. It made a lot of money, of course, because these movies make a lot of money. I think it made like $130 million in the first weekend. It was really interesting to see Matthew Vaughn, you know, the other director, and Jane Goodman go in and go, we want to kind of reboot the franchise, go into a whole new route, keep the same characters, keep the same ideas, but put it in the 60s. And I'm sure Fox executives were like, huh, that's interesting. Okay, let's see what you can do. And like I said, he delivered a fantastic movie. It's not my favorite. X2, like I said, is my favorite, followed by X-Men Days of Future Past. But this movie takes the freshness, the exciting nature of what the X-Men are, and puts it into a fantastic universe. And then takes it, like I said, to the 60s, which is even more fascinating. That gets moved along later on. But yeah, so we get to see like the original origins of how Xavier became wheelchair bound. I just like what this movie's doing. I like how it's taking different characters and doing different things with them while keeping the somewhat continuity of what the X-Men franchise is. And it's really interesting to see how it plays out in Days of Future Past. But also we get a cameo by Hugh Jackman, who has like one of the best lines in the X-Men franchise, period. And it's really nice to see him in another X-Men movie, and he's in Days of Future Past, of course, as the main lead. But right now, it's just really fun to watch. So, but that's it. That's my official take on X-Men: The First Class. Like I said, I'm sure most of you guys like it. It's probably your favorite in the franchise, which is perfectly fine. Like I said, X2 is more my cup of tea, just with what it was doing. But that'll do it. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. Hit the notification button for any future videos. And comment below on what you think of this movie. What your favorite part about it was. What your not favorite part about it was. Who's your favorite superhero in the movie. All that good stuff. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.